Good morning. You were listening to Blue Collar Chat Podcast, and I'm your host, Splash. I have an amazing episode for you. But before we get to the guest, let's hear from our sponsor. No handouts, just work. That is the motto of blue collars across the world. You and me alike, we understand what it is to get off a job site, look all dirty, getting ready to go out to dinner, trying to find some clothes that still represent that we are blue collar to the bone. Well, visit my friends at Trep Wear. That's TREP wear.com. What is Trep, you ask? It stands for the real everyday people. That's you. That's you every day. You are real. You are an everyday human being that just loves and has passion about what you do. Well, wear it pridefully on your shirts, on your shorts, on your jackets, and on your baseball hats. Visit my friends at trepwear.com and use my code SPLASH25. Get 25% off and be part of the real everyday people of the blue collar world. All right, everyone. Hey, you know what? I got to tell y'all, I fucking love being blue collar. Like, there is nothing. I wish, and I love my dad. I love my dad. I got a guest on. He's with me. How you doing today, Chris?
Hey, good, Splash. I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm fucking awesome, dude. I really am. I was just thinking, my dad really steered me away from the trades as a young man. And I was just talking to him about 3 weeks ago, and I kind of gave him that nudge. I'm like, bro, what the fuck did you do? I'm like, I've never loved what I've done, and I've worked for big corporations, eBay, Discover Card, Morgan Stanley, PayPal. I've like those are big companies, worked my way up through management and being a peon, but I've never loved anything like blue collar work. And which is why I reached out to you on social media. I love your product. I love your marketing. But before we get into the product that you sell, can you give our listeners a little background about what Talon Tools is and you as a contractor? What got you in this space?
Sure. So Talon Tools is a company that sells the Studmaster. That is our main product line. We started this, tool based on building our own house. My wife wanted to be involved. She wanted a part of the build. My dad and I were, working on the house, and he came up with the tool, which it's not a tool that we haven't seen on the job market before. Everybody who's worked on any job site ever has seen a tool this, whether it's a 2x4 or something else. We've all used some sort of spacer, gauge, or something along that line. And so we made this tool kind of like the way it's set up now. Version 1's a little different. But when we made it, my wife loved it, and her best friend loved it. And so we built this tool, and that was the genesis of Talon Tools. Where I came from, I've been in sales my whole life. And so you start looking at it and you start seeing, hey, there's a market for this. And I thought we could take it to market and see what happened. And we looked at the patent process, and the patent, there were no patents, there were no tools that were like this. And we went and got a patent, and now here we are selling them.
Well, you being in sales explains the marketing that you have.
Yeah.
It's fun. So you built your house, you found this product. So if you're watching the video, I'm going to show you guys what it is. If not, watch the Instagram post. I'm sure we've posted on it before. Talon Tool Studmaster 16. You actually have two variations. So the concept, simply said, is it's supposed to help you frame every 16, which, again, I want to preface this. I have built my own house in Mexico. I have done a lot. The one thing I always got yelled at was not being 16 on center or 16 or whatever. I don't even know the damn lingo. Like I said, I will never claim. I mean, I can do it because I'm blue collar, but it doesn't mean it's done the right way. But give us a little bit. So your social media presence is there. You've built this brand. There's I don't know who Sam, I think that's what her name is. Is that your wife?
No. Sam's just a friend of ours, and worked out good. She just she volunteered to do that, and it's taken off, and she's done a great job for us.
No, it is. Obviously, like, let's be real. It's eye-catching. It is what it is. I showed my wife, and my wife had a bunch of things to say. She's like, you guys, I'm like, listen, it works.
Well, yeah, it works. That's the trade, right? And so when we first designed the tool, we thought, man, what's the name of this tool? And we came up with the framing tool or some boring name like that. No, nobody's going to buy the framing tool. And
No.
so we started looking at it, and my wife and her friend are sitting over there drinking wine. And I was like, what are we going to name this thing? And my wife said, look, everything in construction is sexual. And I said, what do you mean it's sexual? She said, you're laying pipe, you're hammering, you're nailing, you're screwing, you got ball cocks in the plumbing. And she's like, everything is sexual. She's like, you got to have a sexual name. And I was like, well, what do you want? And she's like, well, they're studs, right? And I was like, yeah. She's like, a stud master. I was like, that is a good name. I think we can take that to market. So that's where it came. That's where the name came from. Yeah, it's interesting to, to follow, but sex sells, obviously. And Sam is very sexy. She does a good job. But again, it ties into the whole name of the product of, in the framing world and in the building world.
So I looked at your page. I read the comments. At the end of the day, I mean, I've posted. There's plenty of videos that my wife has been on job sites with me, and she's done work. And I get the comments. I've gotten the DMs. I've had dudes slide into my DMs, and hey, who is that lady? Like, well, that's my wife. If you've been following me, you would know. Like, and I don't care. Like, I get it. You marry someone, and are you with someone? Like, people are gonna call. Like, it's like I tell my kids, like, look, there's always gonna be a fucking menu in front of you. If you're with someone, right, you probably don't order from it. If you're not with someone, fucking order away. Rolodex the goddamn menu. I don't care. But the knowledge, like being someone who I am on social media, and like I'll pull the curtain back a little bit. I'll Wizard of Oz this. I actually spend about 2 hours a day, not every day, but at least 3 times a week that I'm dedicated. Like I literally will come in, I'll put some Post Malone on or some Zeppelin or Pink Floyd, and I'll just have some music play in the background. And I literally just look on Instagram and do what I did to you, or TikTok. I'm just looking for tools. I'm searching hashtags. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Then I take a deep dive into like the comments. But to your posts, yes, you have a woman. She's a very beautiful woman, but she knows what she's talking about. And I think you're the one that does the voice editing as well. Like it's knowledgeable information. So if you overlook the quote unquote sexual side of it, the knowledge of what your tool's doing is fucking amazing, because you're a framer. If you've ever framed, you understand like one of the biggest, I mean, every part of a trade is based on time. Time is money. And I want to ask you to break down the tool for us, because you have some comments, especially on TikTok. I don't know what it is with TikTok. Like, I mean, I get it, but it's interesting to see. But if you can't explain this, and we'll call it dummy it down, because like I said, I'm blue collar as fuck, but I don't know everything. I don't know the terms. Someone says it's supposed to be 16 on center. The way the tool is measured at 16. You actually have a 24. I saw that this morning on your website. You were very kind to send me one, and I'll be doing some videos with that as well. But explain I don't fucking know, Chris. Just explain it, because
so
I don't know how to word it.
You're right. And it's the interesting part, right? TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or all those pieces. Being in sales, I've been in value-based sales my whole life, but I've also done commodity-based sales. What I've learned as far as on the world of the internet sales, right? It is an interesting mix between the two, because the commodity sales side of it, you have 5 seconds. It's one, if my product is 1 penny less than your product, they're going to buy my product. Mm-hmm. Then you have value based. And if you're value based, if you're selling a value, that's great. Now, what you have on the internet is you have this little bit of a mix between the two. So Sam is there to get the commodity, right? To catch your eye, for you to watch more than 1 second. And then the value is the tool, right? How does the tool, how does it bring value to your life, whether you're a DIYer or a framer or whoever it is? So that's kind of how we've tried to build these videos out. And the reason we built them out that way, and what we did and what we noticed was all of the comments. So, we've got, in a very short period of time on TikTok, 121,000 likes. That's fantastic. People maybe they like Sam, maybe they like Tool, but there's a lot of likes. We have one creator that made a video. He got 15 million views in like 4 days or something just because of the video. There's a lot of people that see the value in the tool, but they have to catch it, right? It has to catch their eye. With the tool and the way it is, and the comments are, and my favorite part of the comments are that you use the tool wrong. They know, everyone knows inherently how that tool works. They can see, oh, you're using the tool wrong. Now, the question is, in the most recent video we made, is everything's not on center, right? 16-inch center. Well, that's the problem in today's marketplace. And in today's job sites, you're going to have one really, really good guy, a guy that knows exactly, in your line of work, you're the craftsman, you're the painter, you're the guy who makes it perfect. Finding you becomes the hard part. On a job site, it doesn't matter who it is. The craftsman on the job site becomes the hard part. So you go to an apartment complex or a motel build or a whatever build it is. When you go into those job sites and you start talking to them and you say, who are you hiring today? They say, oh, I got 20 new guys today, and I got 20 new guys tomorrow, and I got 20 new guys the next day. That craftsman has to train those guys every day. He has to teach them a new skill set every day. And so what we're doing with the tool is we're trying to say, hey, look, let's give you a tool that you can, yeah, you're still going to have to do a layout. There's a lot of comments. Oh, well, does this make a layout obsolete? No way. Nail gun didn't make a hammer obsolete. The Studmaster's not making a layout obsolete. You're still going to lay it out, but then you can hope and ensure that your crew is then coming behind you, nailing it in the 16-inch center, in the correct orientation, on the correct layout, and everything else. Once you have that tool laid out and you start, getting it in there, you start paying attention to other people's builds. And so there's one of our videos that has a build, and we just it was a friend of mine, and he said, come into our build, do a shoot. He goes, we already had the framing done, and just tell me what you see. And so we took it in and kind of did it as an inspection. It's not really, it can be used as an inspection tool, but when we built it as a tool to frame, a tool to build with. And so we took it in and we start walking around, and you start looking. In this one house, it had 38 scabbed in boards, 38 boards that were missing. He's like, that's crazy. Well, you think about not very long ago, a 2x4 was $10 a board. So 10 times 38 becomes a very big number. 10 times 4 or 38 times $4 right now. I think they're $4 now here in Oklahoma anyway. Still becomes a big dollar when you're talking about a build. That's just one aspect of the tool, right? So you're getting it right. You're getting your framing right. The second aspect is if you're scabbing those boards in and your sheetrock guys come in, or your sheet guys period come in, and they're having to miss, and then now they're having to take time out of their day to go back in and scab those boards in. Well, there's an issue, right? So somebody's paying for that. It may not be that framing crew, but they're paying for that. Somebody is paying that cost.
It's time.
That's right. It's time. And then you get to the next step, right? So now we're going to put in our cabinets. And so you got a cabinet guy that's trying to find a board that's just not there. He can't hang the tool. There's no way to hang the tool. So it's an interesting
I love
dynamic.
the domino effect you just explained, because it goes from the beginning of excavating a building all the way up to my trade, the paint. The paint's the last dude. That's the last guy. And it truly is a domino effect. So
there are costs. There are costs.
And you're right. It's funny because, like I said, you have that at catching a pill first. Great marketing on your end, Chris. Like great marketing. And then the comments, but the comments are what get me, because it's so like, there was a video on TikTok about 2 years ago, and it was during COVID. And I can't remember. The dude at least got over 10 million views. He could actually be up to 80 million. And I'm not joking. I could probably find it here in a minute. And it was like how to find a stud master, how to find a stud in the wall. And then he like reversed a mirror and it looked back at him. Like it was a fucking funny thing. So everyone started in the comments and stuff. But when you're talking about trades, and I'm going to call you assholes out right now that do this, just because you did it for a summer does not mean you fucking know what you're doing, you know? Um, but the comments are hilarious, but they're educational
They absolutely
and
are.
it creates a conversation. So for you as the owner of Talent Tools, that's what you want. I just had I won't say the company name. It's a company I met at a National Hardware Show this year, and he wanted to do my social media to have me run his social media for you, but he's like, "Look, dude, the cost is too much. I can't afford it," which I totally get. Like, I understand that. Like, no disrespect to anybody that doesn't hire Splash Comedia. Like, I get it. It makes I understand it. So he started selling his tool online as of a week ago, and I'm starting to see him repost videos of people. So, like, this as a creator of a tool, like you have to get it in the hands of certain people. Then that can vary on who you give it to because you market that budget. And a lot of people don't know. Like when you create a tool, you have to mark and say, listen, we spent $45,000 on this product and they're selling for $65. I'm gonna put 20 of these away to give away because you got to give them away. You got to, maybe 5 locally and then 20 online. And I'm watching him the last 2 weeks do this, and his page is of stock pictures. So when we first had the conversation and I direct him on what I feel he needs to do for his product, um, after 2 weeks, he still has stock pictures. And so this morning before I got on with you, I'm like, "Hey, dude, I love that you're repurposing people's videos. Like, you gotta get real pictures on your page because that stock picture to me as a contractor, you've probably missed out on a jump of 15% in sales." And he's like, "Well, why? I don't understand." I said, "Because I just know you have a picture of a tool, a stagnant picture on we're just talking Instagram right now because it's just a stagnant picture of your product. That's great. But if you can get someone to give you a reel that they sent, just re-put it on your page. Who cares?" I said, because then when someone does go to your page because they watched, like one of the guys he has like 350,000 followers. When those 2,000 people see that and they go to your page, it's like, wait, are you a real product or is this a test product? So immediately, like literally within an hour, he had 2 posts up of someone using his tool. And I'll check in on him, like he didn't hire me, but I really just have a passion of wanting creators to sell their products. And if I can give you some free advice, I'm going to give it to you. So when I saw
I'm a
your
big fan of that.
post, it is. I mean, like honestly, if I could paint houses for free and know that money wasn't an option, I would do it.
Oh yeah.
It's just I love it. I love doing it, you know. But that's not like realistic. Let's be real,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not. And I totally get it. I see it. But with your post, Chris, like you guys really created these conversations, and I think that's what I'm honing in on. Like, it's so important, and you're so eloquent with the way you comment back to people. I love it. And so listen, if you're a tool company and you're like, hey, how do we market a little bit? Go to Talent Tools, have your marketing department. If you don't hire me, at least go look at what they're doing. You don't need to do the sexual part. Like for you, it works. I'm not every tool's going to work.
No, yeah.
But there's an element of post, create conversation. That conversation then, because this is I've said this, I think, on the last 3 podcasts, but it's the truth of it. TikTok has created more so than any platform. Maybe I don't see it on YouTube. YouTube's very educational or fun, but TikTok has created this when they see a video, the internal instinct of the human is like, oh yeah, I can fucking do that way better. Watch this. Because you can duet and stitch it.
And I will say those guys can. Again,
yeah.
I believe, I know, I've met these guys, right? These high-end contractors, these guys that are craftsmen. I give them a hammer, they'll make a house prettier than I can every day, right? Or a rock, a rock and a nail. They're going to make a house pretty because they are the top-end guys.
Yeah.
They are those guys. They're fantastic craftsmen. But trying to hire those guys, it's impossible. It's impossible. And we have a couple of businesses here that we have a machine shop. You can't hire machinists anymore. That the real machinists, the guys that put their foot on the bottom of the tool and felt it and felt the vibrations, and they knew that's how the tool was running correct. You can't find those guys. You can't find that guy that's going to pick up a rock, build a prettier house than anybody out there. Can you do it? I know there are guys that can do it. I know there are guys, everybody says, well, where'd you come up with that 50% number? I said, you take the lowest guys and you take the highest guys. And that's what we did. We took those high-end craftsmen. Those high-end craftsmen took that tool out there, and in some cases it was the same speed. Maybe sometimes they were a little bit faster. You took the low-end guys, the guys that they're hiring on the job site for that day, and you say, hey, go ahead, let's run this tool and let's see what happens. Those guys were up 150, 160% faster. So, we had to come up with that middle of the ground number, and it was actually a higher number than what we put. But I was like, I can't put 75% out there. I think it's just crazy. But at 50%, it really is a good number. It really is. But it's not for that guy that you're just talking about. Yeah. For that craftsman, for those high-end guys, absolutely not.
Well,
those guys are faster. They are great.
They are like our builds. He's a great fucking dude. He's knowledgeable. When you get into the space of TikTok, it's like when someone sees a video and like, I can do that better. It's that old, like, whose dick's bigger? I'm going to show you that I can do it. And I like it. Like, I love it because for me, like as the paint contractor, as an owner of a paint company, I knew later on in my business that I had to start hiring people who didn't know shit.
Yeah.
And I had to teach them. And so my method of teaching, although it be I don't have employees anymore because this is what I'm doing, and employees are the Achilles of my life. They always will be. Bless my Achilles. But like, I'm such a nice guy that I turn into the asshole. And I know that about myself. No, knowing is half the battle. But I would tell guys, like, I'm of the mindset, like, I'm going to give you an hour. And this is my business model. So it probably is why it failed, having employees, like, they would do their work. But every week it was constant. I need more money, boss. I need more money. I can't work on $18 an hour. I can't work on $25 an hour. And I made the decision as a business owner to give them certain amounts of money based on how you showed up at work. What tools did you have? Those are important to me. If you're pulling up in a Honda Civic, I'm not being offensive, but it's the truth of it. Like, if you're pulling up in a Honda Civic, I know I can't give you a 30-foot ladder to take to another job site. That I have to do it or someone else on the crew. So therefore, you're a little less valuable in that aspect. But inside the house, you could probably paint a room in an hour, opposed to the guy who has a ladder who's going to take 3 hours. So there's that variable there. But when I brought employees in, I would give them weekend jobs. I said, listen, the jobs, and I'm very transparent with my crew, which I thought was a good thing. Like, hey, look, this job pays $1,500. After everything, it's $1,200. I'm going to keep $200. You get $1,000, but you got to finish it today. And I would tell them, they always have that pushback, like, oh, I can't get it done today. I'm like, listen, every room you paint, and this is how we approach every job, whether interior, exterior, time yourself. I know you're going to stop and have a cigarette. I know you're going to stop and watch TikTok videos. Like, I'm not stupid. Your girlfriend or boyfriend's going to call you and tell you, hey, pick me up some tampons or whatever it is. And those are real things that they happen. Like, I expect that. But I always told my guys. And so one guy, he went from 4 hours to paint a room to 2.5 in 2 weeks' time. And he's a business owner now. He has 4 employees. He takes that same thing. He's a better human than I am in employment. And it's running for him. And that's how he does every one of his employees. And I'm like, that's awesome. But like you said, it's like your tool, like I said, I'm not on a framing job site, but being a tool guy, I see the tool. I'm like, okay, this works. This is why. Like, you could have someone who's cutting all the boards 10 feet, have them all lined up, and your nailer just pop, pop, pop with your tool. Because for those that can see the video, if you can, Chris, explain to me, what was the 16 and 16 on center? Where's that conversation at with your tool? Because like you said, the cabinet guy's going to look to hang it. They know their measure. They found one stud. It should be in that 16th area. But what is the conversation on your posts about when people are like, no, it's not 16 on center? Can you elaborate greater for us?
Yeah. So in code, so there's codes that are building codes that everybody has to go by. Every state is different, and in a lot of cases, every city and every town is different. But there are standards, and the standards and different styles are 16-inch centers. So if you take a tape measure and you measure from the center of a stud, an upright stud, to the next center of the next upright stud, that needs to be 16 inches. There are also 24 inch. There's code for 24. A lot of interior walls are 24 inch. But what people, and I would say in general, what people that buy houses are, when they buy a house, they expect to go and measure 16 inches from the edge of a wall and put a screw in and hang a heavy clock or something, and they expect it not to fall off off the wall. And so there's the reality of building, and then there's the reality or the perception of the person who buys the house. And so are 24-inch centers out there? Yes. Are they common? No. Then the question becomes, well, then with the buyer of the house, when they go in and look at a house, if they're doing their pre-inspection, or if it's after they've already purchased it and they're trying to hang something up or hang a cabinet up like a cabinet maker, they expect a certain spacing in there to be able to hold whatever heavy thing they're putting up, not break it and not tear sheetrock off the wall and not have to put 500 holes in trying to find something, or try to use the Studmaster, the mirror that the guy was using.
I'll find the video and tag you. And I don't know if you've seen it. It was actually, it was very comical. It was very comical.
No, I like it. But yeah, it's just one of those deals where what we're trying to do is we're trying to give framers. So again, getting back to the framer, whoever it is, if it's a DIY guy or if it's a framing crew, what we're trying to do is we're trying to give them a skill set. So repetitive tasks in any business, no matter what they're doing, it is better. And there's plenty of studies out there that show that if you'll have some sort of guide for a repetitive task, it's going to be more accurate across the board every time you do it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's in building houses or if it's a machine shop or if it's, painting or something like that. It's the repetitive tasks that help. I think you had a girl on your one of your podcasts last season, and she had she made a paint tool of some sort. But again, it was a repetitive task, right? She was taking the paint, she was pouring it out, she was putting it back in, she's pouring it back out, and so she made a tool that helped her and helped her followers and people who do a lot of painting use save time, save money, save all these things. So with the tool, the way the tool's designed, it's designed to save that money, save somebody that money. And but the psychology of it was what you were getting at just a second ago. If you think about the psychology of what somebody is, they're always faster. Those people are always faster, and they maybe they are. They, again, you get into the high end guys, they are faster. I promise they're going to be faster.
Oh yeah, they're faster. But that's why they cost so much damn money and use the term high end.
Yeah, I had a high end guy, and we were talking about his crew, and he goes, there's no way this tool would be faster. I said, well, let's just time them. Did exactly what you said. I love that. Love that idea. What's your perception and what's your reality? And so we put the timer on it, and so he starts going. He goes, look, he's faster. And about that time, the guy goes, oh. And so when they had marked the board, the top plate, they had marked the top plate, marked bottom plate. When they marked it, the guy that was nailing did not nail in the right spot. And he knew we were watching to watch for accuracy. And he goes, oh, I messed up. And he had to pop it apart and he had to re-nail it. That point right there, it took, another 2.5, 3 minutes to knock all the nails out, to do all the re-prep, to reline it up, to get the nails out, put the new nails back in. And then our tool won, right? So you're talking about a high-end guy. He did great. He was working at a very high pace. But when you put that clock on it and you start saying, how fast is it? One of my comments to one of the guys in the, maybe it was on TikTok, maybe it was on one of the other pages, but he said, I'm faster, and I said, well, faster is slower. Slower is faster in a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. Slower is faster as long as it's right, as long as it's perfect. Can somebody go out there and just bam, 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 nail stuff in? Yeah. Is it exactly right? That becomes the question. And then how much does it cost everybody down the line, all the way up to that homeowner, the sheetrocker, the cabinet guy, and the homeowner that hangs a heavy painting on the wall, rips a hole out of the sheetrock, breaks the painting, $1,000 painting. So now you got costs there. I mean, so again, the accuracy of the tool allows everybody on the upstream to save money, and that's what we wanted with the tool.
Yeah. I want to get more into the timing of things because it's a great conversation. But let's hear from our sponsor first, and then we'll be back with talking about more of the timing on a job site and how it implies to tools and people talking shit on social media. Hey everyone, Splash here with Monkey Run Products, your go-to ladder safety and paint accessories. Let's first talk about their paint accessories. If you're going through rollers and just tired of throwing them away or just don't have the time to clean them, they have the new Spin Pro and Spin Pro Mini available. It's an amazing tool to do your 3-inch all the way up to your 18-inch if you have the wherewithal to use those monstrous rollers on the job site. Also, their ladder accessories are amazing. It's like having an extra hand up on the ladder, but safely being able to access all your tools that you need to get the job done. Visit my friends at monkeyrung.com, use my code SPLASH10, and make sure you subscribe to their emails because they have a whole list of tools coming out for 2023 and you do not want to be left behind. So with social media has obviously created lots of monsters. Is it always good? Is it always bad? I flip on this page of, like I'm married to someone who just does not like social media. Like, let's be real. She gets lost in it, but then we have 3 kids and they're at that age. Like my son for the first time posted on Instagram and it kind of like, oh, okay. Like I know he's on there, but he never posted anything, and then his caption was hilarious. I don't want to throw him under the bus because I know some of his friends actually listen. He's in high school. Some of his friends listen to my podcast, which is cool. But it's interesting because when I see companies that have tools, it doesn't matter what the tool is. Every tool in the history of the world that's ever been made, you get people that shit on it. You get people that question it. But I'll tell you what, I've never in my years of being blue collar, I have never ever in my life met a blue collar human being who has not Jimmy rigged or whatever word you want to use. I'm trying to be politically correct here because I have lots of different things I would say that I've been told that at age 43, I'm not allowed to say things that I would say in my 20s anymore.
Different world.
Oh my God. Yes. Okay. I'm going to share this story because it happened last night. So we went out and God, I pray to God my wife doesn't listen to this. So we go out and my wife and her friend order a margarita. Well, I ordered a pina colada. Like I'm not really a big drinker. If I'm going to drink, I want like some bomb ass flavor or just give me like a shot of whiskey, but then I want a cigar. So I just don't drink like that when I'm out in public. I do that at home. And he brings them. Then the waiter, it's a guy. He looks at me and said, "Hey," I said, "That's mine." I said, "Don't tell the boys in the back." He's like, "Oh, okay." Because like had whipped cream on it, a little umbrella, and the guy leaves. My wife's like, "You can't say that anymore." I'm like, why? She's like, because like there's like she's throwing pronouns at me and shit. And I'm like, babe, I'm 43. I'm going to say whatever I want. She's like, no, you really can't. So we're leaving the restaurant. Like I had a scene. We're leaving. He's like, hey, your secret's safe with me. I didn't tell any of the guys. And so one of the cooks in the background is like, nice drink, man.
Nice drink.
So I'm like, but again, I don't want to say that wrong, but every blue collar, back to the blue collar world, like every blue collar person has saw a tool and said, I'm going to make this better. So when they shit on it, it's hilarious because I'm like, and I tell people that make those comments, like, I saw someone on Instagram, a guy that I follow, he has like 120,000 followers. He was doing a video because in my mind, contractors that post videos are doing it to teach and to show off their cojones. Like, awesome. I'm the same way. I love it, And he was teaching how to mask the inside of a cabinet to get ready to spray. There are a few methods of doing it. The very first comment had like 40 comments back shitting on the original commenter. But the original commenter was like, dude, I could paint that faster by brushing and rolling it than masking it. And you're doing it the wrong way, by the way. And I'm like, God. So I always look at the person who makes the comment. I always go look at their page, because I want to come lock and loaded. And this dude, he's a drummer.
I'm with you. I got into that rabbit hole, right? I decided, hey, who is commenting? What is this comment? And again, I believe everybody's got a good, valid point, but I am always curious, like, who is saying, like,
who the fuck are you?
I've got a lot of people that have said, hey, you don't make good videos, and I'll go to their page and
But you watched it.
well, yeah, they have 20 followers, and it's not a knock against them. I'm not saying that, but you can't go down that rabbit hole. You can't follow those guys. And
I do.
People say you do. I just stopped right after that. I was like, I mean, I want to surround myself with good people, right? And as a business, we surround ourselves with good people, and you're constantly growing that piece. And there are good people out there. The thing about life is, almost everybody is a good person, and most of them are great people.
Yeah,
there's a few of them that are just, hey, they're having a bad day, and if it makes them feel they feel a little bit better that they could comment bad on something we do. I tell my team here all the time, I'm like, look, there are 20 comments that somebody was having a bad day, and there are 1 million people that like this video. I mean, you think about the difference between that. We're going to have 200 people that it wouldn't work for them. That's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting. That online world's a beast that I have never dealt with.
At the end of my podcast, I haven't said this since like season 3. I'm in season 8 right now, so I'll share a little bit of it. And this is where that rabbit hole comes for me. My videos on TikTok and the ones on Instagram where I have a few million followers. I have a video that weirdly we got over 19 million, and it grew really quick. Is this person told me he wouldn't hire me as a painter, and so I looked at his page and I'm like, hey, but I come from this place, I'm going to kill you with kindness. But there's a root of why I do what I do. Like I said, you're a business owner in a different sense. I'm a business owner. My friends tell me I can't live my life this way, but I do it anyways. Like, I'm at a space in my life where I'm not going to let anyone tell me what to do. I created this podcast. My name is all over it. There's a reason why I don't work for other people. There is a reason why, I'm very business savvy. I understand like what is appropriate and not appropriate, even when my wife's not kicking me underneath the table, but those scars are from soccer, not from being kicked.
That's
but
right.
A few years ago, a young man walked into Walmart, and in Texas, I think it was, and he shot up some people in Walmart. And that same day, I had walked into a gas station, I think, and I got a drink, and I bought this guy and his son soda. They were behind me. And the kid had some like shoes that glowed or something when he stepped. I'm like, oh, those are cool shoes, man. And I just saw they had a drink. So I'm like, I knew the gas station owner. I'm like, hey, I'll pay for those. And the dad walked away. I was like, hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate you, seeing me. So I went home and I saw that this kid had shot up Walmart. And I won't lie, like it brought some tears in my eyes. And I realized, like, you know what? We're fucking blue collar. And sorry, I don't mean to get emotional about it, because I this is like a core feeling of Splash. Is like we see the world more than anybody. We're in our trucks. We stop and eat out more than anybody. We see humans every day. We're driving from job site to Home Depot to Lowe's to Sherwin, whatever fucking store. We're driving to all these places. We're driving to the welder to pick up some material. We're driving to get the drywall, all that shit. Along those drives, we have the opportunity, which we all do, and we stop, get drinks, get soda. Just fucking acknowledge another human being. Just acknowledge them. You don't need to buy people stuff. If it's in your bank account, do it. Don't do it because you want to pass on the good deed. Like, I believe to the core of my being, had someone seen this kid walk in, and I'm calling him a kid because he was young. He was over 21, I think, but like had just said, dude, what kind of gun is that? Something. It would have stopped him, like subconsciously, like, you saw me. You acknowledge me. And that's why at the end of every podcast, I tell people, like, and you'll hear it too, like it just comes out of my mouth in my emotions, like, just stop and acknowledge someone. You see a little kid, point to your drill, point to your hard hat, point to your company name, something.
Well, that leads perfect to something that we are just started. So the video that we just started making here recently, and well, we'll have more to come on this, but we wanted to team up and help people, right? Our team here is doing a great job with Talent Tools. We're seeing some really great things happen. And we have to have builds. We have to have multiple builds. And my thing is I wanted to be able to figure out a way to give back to the community. And so my kids, they're in the jiu-jitsu world, I think I told you, which is a ton of veterans. There's a ton of veterans in that world. And so what we're doing right now, we're going to build a tiny home, and we're donating this tiny home to a veteran that needs it. And what my goal is to help people, to do this over and over. I want to do this down the line. There are two in our territory. There are 2 tiny home communities that are in the planning stages. They're not done yet. But we're gonna start working with them and everything else. But that acknowledgement that you're talking about, that saying thank you to somebody who's done something, or just reaching out and saying, hey, how's it going today? I think you're absolutely on the right track. I think that's something. Again, you talk about core values of a business or core values of a person, right? The business values come from the individual who runs that company. And you have to push that from the top down to all your people. And so anyway, that's interesting that you brought that up today, because this is something we just recently, we're actually still in the planning phases for this thing, but out here in front of our shop, we're going to build a tiny home, and we're going to donate it to a veteran, I want to say deserves it, but it's not that anyone doesn't deserve it. That's not what I mean at all. We just want to give back to the community in the same way. There's different ways of giving back to that community. It could be just reaching out and touching, like you're talking about, just saying, hey, how you doing today?
But acknowledging
those are
person.
very, very important things in today's world.
I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I firmly believe this. I think that in all walks of life, at some point in our time, we've all walked this earth and felt alone. We felt so, I don't want to use the word dark, because I hate that saying, because when I was alone, I didn't feel dark. You just feel lonely. You feel like, why does no one see me? And a lot of it is you. Like, let's be real. Like, it is. And honestly, like, so I
hindsight, you can see that.
Yeah.
But in the moment when it's around you, you cannot feel it. Yeah.
It's so hard. I was at the trade show, and I thought you were going to be there. I was actually shocked you weren't. I know we talked about it on the phone prior in our first conversation, but I went to Vegas, and I went this time with nobody. I really didn't. I told social media I was going, but like I didn't really click in with anybody but one person that I was going with. And on day 2, I was there, and at night, some of the companies said they were going to go out, but they were like, it was just, things that wasn't really in the market. So I went to dinner by myself, and I felt that loneliness, but it was, because I can understand it now, it was healthy. And I like, it's the meditation, it's the hippie in me, but it was nice. But a lot of people don't understand that. And like you said, to go with your, is the person that you're going to give the house to deserving it? I would use, for me, I would like, it's that opportunity for them. They're being seen. I was in Vegas. I actually was talking to some attorneys, and I made the comment, mind you, let's clarify this, that I had already had 2 whiskeys and was Ubering, so I wasn't driving. That's for all those people that I get a lot of shit, and I love it. I do actually love the shit that I get talked to, because it makes for great content. That I told this attorney, says, he's like, why are you blue collar? Because I'd asked him, so what got you into being an attorney? He's a real estate attorney. And he's like, and I told him, I said, listen, blue collar people are the ones that make the world turn. And he's like, we got in this conversation. He's like, no, you're not. I said, we are. And he says, how? And I told him, I said, well, it's easy. I don't need technology to build a house. I said, but you need that house to work on your technology. You need that house to be a lawyer. You need that chair to sit in to do this. And I said, until the day I go in my grave, you will never tell me that a collar, and I'm just speaking white, pink, yellow, green, all the collars that are out there, it's the blue collar. We start it, we finish it. You need a building destroyed because you want to put a new building there? I'd love to fucking see you go in a crane and knock. You would know.
Well, Well, the tool, right? Going back to the tool, the reality of that, what you're saying is such a good point. When we were kids, I didn't dress up as a lawyer. I dressed up as a guy, digging a hole.
Yeah.
I didn't drive the Lamborghini. We drove the dump trucks. We pushed those things around as we were kids. You think about that blue collar world, and it continues up even into our adult lives. The white collar guys and you know families out there that have a house, and they buy a 3-story home with a basement downstairs, and they got an extra kid, or they just want a poker room, or they just want somewhere
Yeah.
to drink something. They all want to build their own wall. I mean, everybody wants to build their own wall. They want to try it. They may not want to become a tradesman. They don't want to go spend 2 years trying to become an apprentice, building walls. They just want to put a wall together. And in a basement, if you're just going to stand a wall up, you're not hurting anything. Go buy the Studmaster, take it out there, put your tool together, and be part of the blue collar world, because
Yeah.
you will love it. I mean, just touching wood, just putting screws in, just hammering a nail in. People love to do that. And it's hard to go file paperwork and say, "Boy, that was a fun day today at the, pretending to be a lawyer." But
Yeah.
pretending to frame a house, or pretending to frame a wall inside your house, there's something that's so rewarding for people to do that. And I think that's why we all grew up playing with blue collar toys.
Yeah. You're right. It being blue collar, I have a lot of friends they're white collar, and they're weak. I call them weekend warriors.
That's right.
They do things, and I've asked one of them. It's like, it was actually my foster brother. So why don't you hire anybody? And he was my foster brother in high school. He lived with us during high school. And my dad was blue collar, but he showed us what to do, but told us not to be in the trades, which
Yeah.
is really weird to me. Which is funny. My wife's like, don't, our son, he's 17 and he wants to go to a tech school to learn some welding or some shit like that. And she's like, you can't tell him what to do. I said, no, I'll never tell my kids what to do. But whatever they come home and tell me they're going to do, I'm going to support it. You know,
Absolutely.
even if my middle son, sometimes he wants to be a quarterback. And I'm like, well, you can't eat the way you're eating, and you got to put the video game down, because learning Madden play calls isn't going to help you,
Yeah.
Um, it's just keeping it real. And in the blue collar world, I was watching Office Space recently. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that show, but it's this
Love it.
dude,
Love
what the show is. And I'm watching him, like, after he gets hypnotized or whatever the hell it is. And he's like, fuck this. I'm like, every blue collar person, because I've had employees work for me like, oh, this job fucking sucks. And I'm like, go sit in an office for 30 days.
Yeah.
Clock in, clock out, take a phone call. Sit in, like, you think I'm a dick, like, sit in a room with a white collar manager, and have that manager tell you, like, hey, so we did your performance, you only sold 20 products this month, and you're sitting across from thinking, oh, I did really good. Well, meanwhile, Chris, he's sold 78, and you're like a deer in the headlights, like, what the fuck do you mean? You don't get to be yourself.
No.
But in the blue collar world, you get to be you.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, that goes back to those comments. I mean, we've all been in it. You've been in it. I've been in it. And the reality is, I enjoy the comments because of
Yeah.
that, because that's what it's like. You're you. Maybe you're calling somebody an asshole, and that's just the way you are. It doesn't mean that you mean somebody is an asshole in most cases on a blue collar job site. You're just calling them the name. And so I think that's funny with the social media, is people are like, oh yeah, this guy's a jerk, or that guy's a jerk, or whatever. What? Yeah, okay. It doesn't.
I have tried for years
to blue collar world.
I have tried for years. I actually talked to HGTV, someone, for about 6 months there. I was pitching a show, and during one of the conversations, I straight to him. I said, "Listen, I'm going to tell you the way it is on a job site, because I know you don't know. Like, Ty Pennington, love you, dude. Like, all these HGTV characters, I'm a character. I'm Splash. I don't use my real name. Like, for real, it's like, I get it, but what you see on TV is not really how a job site is. Because if you go on a job site, there's a viral video. It's, I got to ask you, we'll get back to this, but you had some posts hit hard. For you as a tool creator, what's viral to you When you see a post hit a number, do you feel a certain way? Do you like high five yourself?
Well, I had to Google it. I honestly, the first video we ever posted went to 1.2 million views in about 4 days, I think is what it was. And I thought, everybody talks about viral. My nephew, when he was 10 years old, he's in college now. But when he was 10 years old, he goes, I want to be a content creator. And I was like, what does that even mean? He's like, I want to go viral. And so I've thrown that back in his face that I got 1.2 million views on my first video way faster than he did on his.
Yeah.
But yeah, we what is viral? The good is a good question because we didn't know. And so we started, trying to figure out what that means. And, there's Google answers, which is, 100,000 views. The average video on TikTok gets 1,000 views. 100,000. If you got one video that's got 100,000 views, you're mid-tier influencer of some sort. 500,000 views, you're considered a mega influencer,
Yeah.
And then you get into these millions. And I mean, you think about some of these creators that have, multiple videos that are over, 10 million, 20 million or whatever. That's just an incredible number. For us, I think it's incredible. Every time we go over 250,000, we had another video just posted 2 days ago that I think it's at 340 or something right now. We've got, I think, across all media, social media platforms, probably 10 or 15 videos that are over 1 million views or, views. But what I do think is interesting when you start talking about the viral side of it is the engagement side. So what are people saying? We have one video that's got 5.5 million views. It doesn't really have a whole lot of engagement. People like it. I think it's got a neat sound to it. And I think that's what kind of grabs people. It's a real nice sound. But there are other videos that where we nailed something wrong, or we put a tool together wrong, or we did something wrong. And the engagement is incredible. They love telling you did it wrong, which I think is great because they're saying, I know how this tool works.
And a lot of people don't. So I'll speak for me. I fuck up things intentionally sometimes.
Yeah.
And the thing, so when I got onto social media, before lives were available, it was interesting. The world was very interesting on social media. Once live was available, I would get every Friday. It's how I coined the name Splash. My company name is Splash Painting. And I would get up every morning with a cup of coffee on Fridays, not every morning, so Fridays, and be like, good morning, Instagram. This is Splash. And I'd get like 5,000 blue collar men and women from across the world watching me. And it was like, oh, like I felt special,
Oh, yeah.
And now it's everybody can do it. Everyone knows how to do it. And we're chasing these numbers. Like, so for me, you hit it on the head. Like I looked at your page. I'm looking at my page right now. I think I have like 10 videos that have over 1 million views, but it's the relation to the comments, so we were at a concert. And my wife, these people were there and they were doing a TikTok, and my wife, she likes to poke people's bears, and I love it. She's like, oh, that video is going to go viral. She's like, no, none of my videos go viral. My wife's like, well, what's viral to you? She's like, I need 1,000 views, And so I did a video, and she's like, oh, what, let's follow, and I'm like, okay. So my wife gives them my social media, and, we have over 100,000 followers, and she saw that she obviously knew what she's talking about. She's like, you have over 3 million likes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. Because I just don't, in my world, I don't chase that anymore because I've been there, done that. Not that it matters. Do I try to? I try to put content out that's creative. And as a tool creator, you didn't ask me this, but everybody, I didn't mean to the show, but everyone at the show, when I tell them I do social media, they're like, well, how many followers do you have? That's the first question. Second is, how much do you cost to go make me go viral? And every time I get someone that says that to me, I said, listen, and actually in my contract, when I work with a tool company, it says in there, and there's a signature spot. It says, I am not guaranteeing you to go viral. I'm guaranteeing you that I'm going to guarantee you that I'm going to show you how to build your community, but your personality, because I don't know, you've been in sales for a while, if not forever. You said and it goes back to having Sam on your video, then talking about your product and getting that 7-second view. It's not just about the tool. People are buying you.
Absolutely.
They're buying the character. And I know that, like, I get offended sometimes when my wife or my kids, especially my kids, like, oh, is it Splash here today with us or is it Dad?
Yep.
And I'm like, fuck you guys. But they're right though, because it is that character. It is that.
People buy from people, and it's
Yeah.
been that way from the very beginning. The interesting part about social media is how do you capitalize on somebody buying from somebody, right?
Yeah.
And you have about 1 second for them to catch long enough to go to that 7 seconds. So you've got a weird, a quick turnaround right there, and you've got to figure out how to get there. But you're exactly right. People buy from people. Yeah. Do they buy because
And they like to be told what to do, no matter. I know you're listening. You're like, shut up, Splash. No, like, seriously. If I tell you, hey, you need this Talon tool, go buy it, I'm going to give you 20% off with my code. You damn sure right. You did it.
Oh yeah.
You did. I just got back some analytics from a company that I have a code with. And he's like, dude, we did way more sales when we were doing the 15% than the 10. I'm like, well, it's obviously more money, but it was like drastic. It was like a 300% jump in their sales. I said, because 10% is everywhere. I can get 10% off toilet paper if I want to. Just go to Starbucks and roll some up and put it in my pocket, but I said, it's also, and I know what videos they were talking about. I said, go watch the videos though. Watch the engagement, watch the personality that I put in, because where I'm sitting, and in sales, like, I'm intentionally doing something a certain way. Then on another project, I'm going to intentionally do it a way different way. Because, like, hey, this is Splash. Look at this product. It's pretty cool. I like this. Or it's like, oh my God, did you see Graco's new tips? Go get this. And it's 10% off. So the video we did prior to that with this customer about 6 months ago, the 10% video, that one that we did the 10% on, way outsold everything. So it wasn't really that price. It was the personality saying, hey, like, oh my God, or let's just put it like, you have that energy, and that's exactly what it is. So Chris, it's been an honor. Where can people buy your tools? Let's talk about that first, before we head out here.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. Now, again, thank you for taking time with us. We appreciate you. This has been a really cool experience, and I really like your podcast. So you can buy our tools online on Amazon right now. We're on Amazon. We have shirts, we have hats, and we have the tools, the 16 and the 24. We ship worldwide, so we've sold, and I think it's over 40 countries already.
Congrats.
Yeah, crazy. We also sell from our website, and our website is www.talontoolsusa.com. Again, the tools made in the USA, the tooling's made in the USA. I mean, we really push. We even have our boxes made in the USA. We have our hats made in the USA. Everything we do here, we try to do made in the USA. And anybody wants to come by, come on down from Splash. Love to have you out here.
Come down and work. I'll come
by the facility. I'll take you over to the
house.
foundry. Yeah. Well, yeah. No, that'd be great. But we'll take you to the foundry, show you our castings being made. Everything's right here local. We're not waiting on tools to come from overseas or something. Our first order was 100. It sold out in a day. Second order, 250, sold out in a day. And it just, we've doubled every time we've made an order. The interesting part about that is the foundry that we work with is able to turn our castings in a 2-day period. So nice. We never had to worry about being sold out, and we never have. So it's been a fun ride.
I don't say this about every tool, but listen to me, blue collar men and women in the trades. If you ever are touching wood on your job site the appropriate way, this is a tool you need, because at some point, like, not every tool belongs in a truck. Let's just clear that off. There's not, there's just, like, not everyone's going to have a paintbrush. There's no, I mean, they don't need it, but this is one of those tools. If you ever are dealing with wood, you're dealing with a drywall section, drywallers, I think this would be great for drywallers, because you're right. As you said earlier, there's a lot of drywallers that get into a house and it's not done. They can't find that 16 on center, or there's just not a wood. This is definitely one of those. And honestly, I'm looking at your website right now. Your shirt's badass, by the way.
Hey, thank you. I got one on the way to you.
I know. I can't wait to get it. But you're priced right.
Thank
You know, that's one thing I see with companies. It's like, well, there's one company, and I won't throw them underneath the bus, but they're trying to make so much money off their first order of sales. And maybe that's different, but it's again, if I say what it is, it won't. But like, it's a $200 item that their competitor sells for $39. And I've invited the guy on the podcast. I know who he is. And he's like, listen, it's the technology. I said, the technology is not different. You don't own the patent. Like it's not. And so I think we're going to have you on a second time. Are there other tools
Absolutely.
coming down the market in Talon?
Right now, yeah, we do have some. Obviously, the metric, the international market is really pushing hard for that, and then also deckers. So the decking crews out there, the new plastic decking that is being made, the standard now is 12-inch centers, and
Okay.
so we've had tons and tons of requests for that 12. That will be made here very quickly.
Well, hurry up and get that. My wife and I built a deck, and we almost got divorced. and I knew we built this deck, and she's like, it's going to be a 10 by 10. It's actually a 20 by 24 right now.
Oh yeah.
The very first cut, brand new Milwaukee tape measure. My wife, I'm not even outside. Like because again, my wife is a BAMP. She knows what she's doing, you know?
Yeah.
Like she was in the military. She's fucking badass. And she comes, I hear the sound like, oh, I'm getting coffee and some beers, whatever, you know. She comes in, has the tape measure in one hand and has about 12 inches of the other. She's like, something happened.
Something happened.
I said, did you cut my new tape measure? She's like, well, yeah. I knew. And like the whole time, like it's funny, the conversations that my wife and I had. We're finally, after 10 years, we're at this place in our life where like whenever we start a project, we like, okay, what's the project? We know what it is. And we scatter like mice. We don't actually do it together.
Oh yeah.
It works so much better. Well, hey, tell the Talon crew, we love what you're doing. If anyone else wants to come on, you ever want to come on, the platform's yours.
Love to.
Before we go out, guys, go visit Talon. I don't have a code for you, but it's great. They're under $100, depending what kind of, job you're doing. If you are playing with wood, this is definitely one of those things. If you're framing or ever had adjust framing or needed to frame anything, this is perfect. DIYers too. Like you said, the Weekend Warriors. You know what?
Splash, if you want a code for your followers, we'll do 15% off, and we'll just do it Splash. So if you want to do that, go right ahead, please.
There we go. So use the code Splash. Give us a day or two; it'll be up, and we'll put that on there. But before we end this podcast, thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate the tool and the shirt when he gets in here. And I want to end it like this. Listen, I mean it. I'm getting the chills just thinking about it. If you're out in the world, be that change the blue collar. I'm telling you from the core of a human to another human, or if you're alien, because that's what's here now, just acknowledge another person. It doesn't need to be giving away your farm or giving away anything. Your presence alone is a present to someone else, and you acknowledging that other human based on the shoes that they bought or whatever their outfit is, the music they listen to, just acknowledge someone. I promise you will change their day. And you'll see a drastic change across the world when we can do that as blue collars. So thank you all. We'll end with our sponsor, Plant Powered Marketing. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Attention Tribers. Plant Powered Marketing is your cutting-edge marketing agency specializing in SEO, Google My Business, website development, and many other strategies that get you ranked #1 on Google. We're your go-to marketing agency for businesses who want to see real, tangible results from their online presence. Our team of experts has years of experience in getting businesses to the top of Google and generating leads through effective online marketing campaigns. Remember to let us build your next website. Contact us if you want to outrank the competition. Plant Powered Marketing, 971-570-0511 or Plant Powered